Hey, okay, sweet. We are sort of kind of back. And I have to now figure out how to share my screen because I'm a 65-year-old person. So, while we're waiting for people to come in, let me figure this out. Because I didn't think to do it until literally just now. Alright, one sec. Share. No, that's not it. Hold up. We're gonna look it up. All right, how to share screen on YouTube Live. Uh-huh. Share screen, is that one? Oh, it's that one, look at that, wow. Wonderful, now I can do what a 65-year-old person can maybe do. All right, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna share the entire freaking, let's see, window. All right. Yeah, we're just gonna do that. Whoa, it's like 1,000 knees. Oh dear God. All right. Let's see. Hold up. Oh my God, it's like an infinite mirror. I think we don't want to do that. Hold on. We're gonna try something else. We're gonna try another way. Okay. All right. We're gonna do that. And we're gonna share the window. Let's try that. It's just gonna be thousands of me. Okay, that's fine. Well, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pull up the other tab anyway. I was kind of hoping that like there could be a feature where I could show you this and have me in the little bottom, but that's fine. I chose to do this not as a regular video where I could kind of do that myself and you wouldn't have to look at infinities of me, but doing it in a live form, because then I can kind of discuss with everybody as we go, and I don't have to like worry about a super big amount of editing or anything, and can more so just focus on talking about the movies and stuff. No restriction on time or space or something like that. So let's get right into it. So yeah, like I said, end of last year, I basically have been trying to. I wanted to keep up with the movies of this year, even though I wasn't going to be, actually doing reviews in the channel and stuff this year. So I promised that I would at least, maybe 2-3 times this year, talk about all the movies that I had seen so far. And what I didn't think about doing originally was the out of theater reactions and doing shorts on those. But that's actually been pretty good because I'm able to like give you my in the moment thoughts, which is really cool. Like just after I've seen it, and then we get to do this, and then we can see how the thoughts have changed, or if they've held up, and that's been really cool. And honestly, is something I'm probably going to keep using going forward, even in the next year and after that. So yeah, let's start talking about these movies from basically the beginning of January. I think the first one out of this list that actually came out like chronologically, the first is Send Help. So everything from Send Help all the way through Obsession. I was going to do it through Hokum, but I just didn't get to do this before I saw Obsession, and it's on here, so screw it. Let's just do it. And so you don't have to see infinity of me. Let's do that. All right. So this is my Letterboxd. Welcome. This is I've newly refurbished, I'll say, because if we go into my my list, I've actually, because I'm a perfectionist and need to document everything, I've actually put in every movie I saw in every year whether it's the new ones or just old ones, like every new movie to me that I saw in that year. So I've done a bunch. I have a lot of lists. I'm a list maker. But what we are going to do right now is go through the new releases of 2026 that I've seen. So let's start from the bottom up, because I figure it's better to, end on a better note. Not to have had that spoiler already, but whatever. You guys have to know after seeing some of my out of theater reactions what's probably going to be closer to the top. So The Bride. So yeah, my out of theater reactions are really going to reflect what I had said probably when I started this channel. Was I'm probably at first going to be easier on movies until I think about them some more, because you have that theater experience and you're real excited about it, and you can see the positives, and you want to hang on what you did like and all of that. And in general, I'm like, oh, was it really that bad? And I overthink it and second guess myself. The Bride is one of these. I think one of these cases. Listen. The Bride's not the worst thing I've ever seen, not by far. It's a mess. It sucks because I really wanted this to be what Joker 2 should have been, and it's closer. It's better than Joker 2. I'll say that, because at least this does something with the movie. It is quite annoying how little Joker 2 did. And that was another one, I think, that was the same case where I was like, no, I think it's got some good stuff. And it, like, technically that is true. But The Bride actually does some stuff. I do like how it is chaotic. I do like how, in some cases, it's messy, more aesthetically than anything else. I really love the portrayals of the Bride and of Frankenstein. I think they're actually two of the best portrayals I've seen. Not that we've seen many portrayals of the Bride, of Frankenstein, but especially of Frankenstein. And when Christian Bale was put in the role, I was like, God, is he just going to be everything? But again, there's a reason. He's just good. Like, I really, truly believe this is one of the best renditions of Frankenstein I've seen. Crazy considering we got Frankenstein last year, and Jacob Elordi did an amazing job. But in terms of what we know as the stereotypical, like monster movie Frankenstein, this was really good, especially for being a little bit of a modernized version. The cinematography is really great in this movie. Again, I love just the lighting. I love the dance scene, because I liked how just stupid it was. Like, I liked that they had choreography that matched their personalities and their ridiculousness, and kind of going over the top. How they're just like, like so dumb. But it was really cool. It matches the movie. Yeah. What else? I know there's other stuff about it that I liked. The plot's, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. The thing about the movie is, okay, I said the plot's pretty good. I like the concept of the plot. Let me put it that way. I like the concept of the plot. The actual structure of the movie is just all over the place. I don't know. I'm actually gonna split screen this, because in case any comments or anything come through, but I'm gonna put it kind of over, so again, you don't have to familiar with me, and you can see mostly this. But yeah, the structure of the movie is kind of all over the place. I kind of touched on this in the short, but the beginning of the movie is just so in media res. Like, it's not okay. It's not confusing, but it's just like there's a lot happening here, and the problem is I don't know who this character is yet. I don't know Jessie Buckley's character. I don't remember what her actual name is outside of the Bride. But I don't know who she is, and then suddenly she's already somebody else, and it very much doesn't help that Mary Shelley is a character in this movie, and I fucking hate her. She is so annoying. Like, I don't know. I don't know why she bugged me so much. I think it was just because every scene that she is in, it should have been fun with the chaos, but it was just so like loud and abrasive and annoying for no reason. For Mary Shelley to be like, why is Mary Shelley like this in this movie? Why is the ghost of Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, in this movie? Why is she chaotic and like an evil ghost? She's not evil. She's trying to get, I get it. She's trying to get the bride to become her own person. I get that. But it just, I don't really understand it. So did Mary Shelley write Frankenstein in this movie? And people know the book Frankenstein, but Frankenstein's also a real thing. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it's never really explained. And that's one of those things that I kind of would like to be explained, not really left sort of open ended. So that whole thing just bugs the crap out of me. And then again, like it just feels like from scene to scene for the first half an hour of the movie just feels like they're missing something in between scenes. Characters change decisions, characters say one thing and then they're doing a completely different thing in the next scene. It just, the execution is just weird. It's very mismatched. And fine, aesthetically, in terms of the themes of the movie and being mismatched and thrown together, that's not intentional, obviously, but I could see people being like, no, you don't understand. That was on purpose. And it's like, shut up. Like, it's not, no, come on. I don't think that is on purpose at all. And it's just, frankly, it's annoying. Give me a movie I can be invested in and have it not feel like 7 screenwriters are in there at the same time. I do think it's kind of cool that they go on like this Bonnie and Clyde route later on. But then even when she becomes the bride, and it's like, oh my God, she's made the transformation. It's like, all right, that's pretty cool. All right, now she's the bride. This is her badass moment. This is her Joker walking down the stairs, Samara Weaving smoking a cigarette in Ready Player what? Ready or Not. All those kinds of moments. This is her moment. And then it ends with her taking Frankenstein back to the lab and being like, please save him. And she dies. What was the point of her coming into her own, being fully autonomous and embracing herself as the bride? She doesn't do anything with it. I don't know. So the movie's just a mess. The plot's a mess. The story's a mess. The writing's So I like a lot of stuff about it. It's just not that good. Unfortunately, in terms of like, I want to rewatch it probably at some point, because again, there's things I do like about it, but it's just not something I'm really probably going to go back to anytime soon. That being said, if this is the worst movie I've seen so far this year, that's pretty good. And on that topic, I will say that there's probably 2 movies that I guarantee would be below The Bride if I saw them. Like if I wanted to have a worst movies of this year list, I could easily add 2 of them without even having seen them. I know this to the bottom, but I just didn't watch them because I didn't want to. The first one is Mercy with Chris Pratt. It looks, again, I try not to judge movies before I see them, but we do. We really do. And I did not want to see this because it's Chris Pratt doing what kind of just seems to be, I don't know. Like when I first saw the trailer, at first I was like enraged because I thought it was going to be like, what do they call it? Like propaganda and like promoting AI all in the same movie with Chris Pratt, who's we're exhausted of, and he's just annoying. And then also the trailer being stitched together like it's a fucking student film trailer. Like it's just like clips of lines or lines from the movie that are just kind of like thrown over top in a way that doesn't even feel natural. It almost feels like they had him record lines just to put in the trailer. I don't know. It kind of has the same vibe as the 911. The ordinary. Get some blankets. We got comets coming in. It kind of felt like that. And then it just, I don't know. It just looked really generic. I will say the premise it was a low bar, but it went up a little bit once I realized he's being put on trial for it, and the AI might be a bad thing and all that stuff. Okay, fine. I still don't want to see it. I'm sorry. It just doesn't look that good. It looks insanely generic to me, and I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I think that would easily make my bottom. Also, Animal Farm. I just read that book last year. If you saw my last video where I was talking about the books that I read last year, you know this. You know I read Animal Farm and how much I liked Animal Farm. And I actually meant to talk about this in that video. Completely forgot. But I think that I love Andy Serkis. I love that guy as an actor, director, everything. The trailer for this movie looks ridiculous. Why are you taking Animal Farm, which is a very heavy, in a very subtle introductory way, very heavy, very dark, and very like satirical and a little bit sarcastic, and making it into like an Illumination movie? What are you doing? I it just looks that just looked ridiculous to me. It just looked really stupid. And I saw a video on it of somebody talking about it and the things that happened within it, and it seems even worse than I thought it was going to be, because they actually try to talk about stuff, but in a way that's very just like now centered, and try to be relevant. No, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a movie that needed to be made. It's weird. Like, yay, let's take this really dark classic movie about war and totalitarianism and Stalinism, and put Seth Rogen or whoever it was in the cast, with this all-star cast for a kid, like a kids movie, and we'll make like jokes about like memes and stuff. I don't know, man. Some ideas should just be left undone, maybe even unsaid. Anyway, past that, but continuing on the Chris Pratt run, I saw the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And I'm not going to lie, I went into this movie with the intention of it being dumb, turn my brain off, just have some fun. And that is true. That is what happened. So it did not rise above anything I really expected. If you're a Mario fan, which I played Mario when I was younger, but like I don't know it like that. I'm not extensive in Mario like that. If you played it and like Smash and all that stuff, you will have a good time with this, I guess. Like I know Rob's in there. I know some other little cameos that get made where I was like, yeah, there he is. That's the guy. Here, you got him. But that's what this movie is. That's what the last movie was. But at least the last movie like tried a little bit. And even then, I still felt like last one didn't really feel like a movie. But this one at first feels like more like a movie because there's more happening, and then you kind of just realize that it's just a lot of stuff put together. You don't really get to sit with any one thing for a long time, if for seconds. It's like consequences happen to characters and then are immediately just like, nope, never mind, just kidding. I don't know. It's fun to look at, not to eat, you know what I'm saying? It's visually, it's very cool, I will say that. There's a lot of kind of some cool ideas and things in terms of the characters they bring in, but I don't know, it's not. I'll put it on in the background to like fall asleep to if I like, if I'm like having a panic attack, I'll put on a Mario movie to chill myself out or something. Because it's just a bunch of, it's kind of nothing. But it's a fun time though in some ways. And I'll say this: the Bowser Jr. thing wasn't terrible. I think it's actually kind of interesting, the dynamic that a very, very young son of a villain like captures or reclaims the villain basically, and even the villain, who's like this terrifying character, is like, holy shit! Like, all right. Maybe I taught you too well. You gotta relax. Like, I'm impressed. You gotta chill out. So that was kind of interesting, I will say. But other than that, yeah. Not much more to say about that. Undertone's fine. Undertone is one of those movies that's like good for one watch in a theater. It's very quiet, very large, really good sound, just to kind of get that experience of like terrified of anything could come around this corner, anything could like shriek in your headphones. Sitting in a house alone and having your earbuds in and listening to stuff like I am right now. And especially if that stuff's really creepy, that is a very unsettling feeling. You're kind of looking over your shoulder, it's like I gotta take this off. I gotta put the Super Mario Brothers movie on. But the problem with the movie is that while all the music and the audio and the all the sounds that they do in the headphones is creepy. I'll give them that. It gets real boring. Like nothing happens for a long time. It's like a paranormal activity movie or a lot of found footage movies where it's just a very slow burn of the same things over and over. And there's kind of a point where there's like diminishing returns where you get to this point of like the suspense is building, something's gonna come, and just nothing's happening. And then when it finally does, you're like, okay, like yeah, I thought that was gonna happen like a half hour ago. Uh, and it kind of bastardizes the use of negative space, which is like a type of it's a type of shot that's been used, a lot, but very much so in I would say the last 6-7 years. Why does that come up so often in my life? God, in the last couple of years in horror movies where you've got a frame and the character or the focus is taking up just a little bit of it and there's all this empty space because the focus, the intention, the implication is that something is there or something's going to be there when you cut back to it or something's going to come around and out of focus. And it's a very good, use of cinematography. I love that. I think it really started up in horror with, as far as I know in recent memory, with The Invisible Man. Because in that one, it was quite literally like he could be standing in this space right here and you don't know it. It was a perfect use of that. And even that movie doesn't use it as much as this. This movie uses it in like every shot. If you're not going to do anything with it for a while, and I looked if there was like little things that happen, and there might be something that I missed, but it's like there's just nothing going on until kind of almost the end of the movie. And then the end of the movie happens, and it just goes batshit, like bananas. And I will say, for a theater experience, it was cool for a one-time experience that what was happening because there's so much confusion and chaos, and honestly kind of felt like I was in like a Halloween Horror Nights house, which was, kind of cool for a minute. But then the movie ends and you're like, oh, I have no idea what happened. And the things that I do know that happened were like, yeah, I kind of figured that was going to happen again, like a half an hour ago. I thought we would have more than this, but half of it, I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on. The problem with the audio stuff is that you actually cannot discern what is happening at a certain point. And it just kind of takes you out. The suspense and the tension and the screaming and everything at the end is like, again, it's in just a visceral sensory way. It's good. It's good. But I don't know. They just didn't do as much with it as I really wanted them to. I thought it was just going to be way creepier than that. Or at least long lasting. In the moment, sure. Also, one last thing, and I don't even remember if I mentioned this in my other theater reaction, but there's a couple shots that are like the camera is like panning around or it's spinning or tilting or whatever. And when they stop, it kind of bumps, or just the movement feels a little bit awkward and shoddy. I just want to be like, do you want to try that one more time? This kind of, again, it feels like mistakes I would make in film school. So, I don't know. It was all right, but not great. This one hurts. Again, I will say this kind of is starting to get into definitely the area of, if this is at the bottom, it more so talks about how good the other movies are in this list so far rather than how bad this was. But Scream 7, I liked it. There are issues with it. And I think it's funny, I think I kind of went from one extreme to the other because at first I was like, no, but I really liked everything except for like this one thing. And my friend was like, but there was this and this. This was the worst I've ever seen of that. And then we kind of flipped where now I'm like, yeah, I don't really regard it as highly now. And he's like, no, but it was pretty good. Like, all right, whatever. So Scream 7. Yeah. I'll just start off by reiterating, if you haven't seen my out of theater reaction, if you're wondering, hey, Matt, what the hell? Why did you go pay money to see Scream 7 with all the shit that they pulled? It's because at the time I was like, well, I have the AMC A-list thing, Not to be that guy, but I do. And I was like, well, I already have, I can get everything for free because I've already paid the, the price at the beginning of the month anyway. I was then informed that that money, what if you buy a ticket, some of that percentage goes towards the movie anyway. So great, that's great. But I will say, as a theater experience, this was actually pretty cool because, like, this and I think six especially were very fun for having a Scream fans screening. This was one of the best audiences they had. They were cheering for everything. Like there was a lot of gasps. Not as much as I'd say as this in six, but there was still a lot. It was a very fun time in terms of that. The actual movie, okay. If they had to go the way that they did with doing what they did, which was some shit that they pulled, I will say that I think, at least thematically, I like what they've done with having Sydney's character come back and using that to fuel the meta stuff, right? So the motive for every killer has to be something with meta, and recently it's been a lot of reboots and requels, and we got to redo it and all of that. And with this one, I like that this actually gave a little bit of a new direction, not necessarily doing like reboots and requels, but kind of a tangent on that is legacy characters, right? And they've touched on that in Scream 5 and 6. But legacy characters in a way of they're losing their spark, and we have to reignite that spark and kind of bringing it back to Sydney herself, where this all started with her. So that's pretty cool, and I like that we were able to get her and her daughter's relationship, and her daughter kind of also being a part of that theme as well. Obviously, it's great that her daughter's name is Tatum, and we kind of get to put some respect on Tatum's name because it's been 6 movies. 5 of the movies we just didn't even mention her. Like freaking Dewey's sister dies in this first movie, and she's never mentioned again, even by him. It's weird. It's just really odd. I don't know. Maybe it was a copyright thing with I don't remember her name at the moment. With that actress, I don't know. I wouldn't think so though. So kind of weird that we just never got to get some closure on that with her, especially being Sydney's best friend in the first one. In terms of her best friend, Gail is here. Gail shows up in a car, and she gets out of the car, and she's like, "Wham! I'm Gail." It's getting kind of old. I was wondering if this was going to start to happen with the Scream franchise, if they could keep it up, where they can do this sort of the same movie over and over, but make it different every time. And I've been impressed up till this point that they've been able to do that. The only thing is that at this point, I think they're starting to do that burnout. I honestly think that if they hadn't screwed up like they did, they could have done one last big one with everybody, and it would have been badass. As it is, they have some cool moments in this one. The reveal is by far the worst of all 7 of them. I have to go back and watch 3 because I've only seen it once to see if this is the worst one or if 3's still the worst one. And I've always said, if whichever of these 2, if this is your worst one, you have a very, very good slasher franchise, because slasher franchises can suck wind after a couple sequels, if not even in the second sequel, the second movie. And so they've done pretty good up to this point. But the reveal is just awful. The motivations are, again, I like the idea of the motivation, but the actual motivations are stupid. And it just, even the kills at a certain point, like when they get to that, that one scene in every movie when they just start picking them off one by one because you got to wrap up the movie, even those just felt like for no reason, just not, I don't know why you're killing this person off. They could have done more with it. I think that's a little bit unique, and they didn't. And there was even some of the other kills earlier on. There's really only one standout kill, and it's not even the best one in the last 2 movies or so. Having the 2 with a beer tap, it was good. It was good for sure, but it's I don't know. So the movie, it's got a lot of great stuff. And being a Scream movie, I'm going to love it. But it does start to feel like, yeah, we're scraping the bottom of trying to figure stuff out here if we have to kind of move on in the direction that we've created for ourselves. So, we'll see. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, I don't know how I didn't even talk about this, but, so obviously Matthew Lillard is in this movie in some form. I'm of the opinion that how they did it was actually pretty good because it made it not only make sense, but it was relevant. The reveal of why they've done it this way is dumb, but the actual doing it I thought wasn't terrible. Because I was like, if you're gonna do this, you have to do it in a way that makes sense and does not shit on the first movie. And I think they did that. So props to them on that one. All right, God, every time I think I'm gonna speed through movies and book discussions, I just don't shut up. So we're gonna keep going here because it's been a half an hour cutting through 4 fucking movies. Okay, all right, Primate. Primate's good. Primate was actually Primate might have been the first one of the year chronologically to come out, and people were like, "Yeah, this is actually pretty good. This isn't just a dumb, slasher animal, gone wild kind of movie." Which those aren't usually my favorite. They're usually like fine, but they're usually kind of dumb. If you got like something like Piranha 3D, sure, yeah, it's dumb, but I'm kind of expecting that. But this was actually pretty good. And it is just once again following the trend of every year I see 3 goddamn monkey movies. So there's this one. There's a chimp in the Michael Jackson movie. What's the 3rd monkey movie going to be? There's got to be something else coming out, right? But yeah, the monkey in this one is actually kind of terrifying. It really is, and it's clever. The movie itself is pretty like scene to scene, generally kind of pretty clever for the most part. There are definitely, as there always kind of has to be, some dumb character decisions, but they're not like the dumbest I've seen for sure. There's one that is particularly not smart. There's one that's just like, bro, just do it this way, or don't do that at all. You have got to be kidding. But I will say, I'm never going to own a monkey. I didn't realize how strong they are. I know that they're strong. I mean, this is a movie. They could be lying to me. Do movies lie to me? And I think that the incorporation of having a character and a couple characters who use sign language, and because one of the characters is deaf, made for some really interesting scenes as well. So that was really cool. So yeah, overall, I mean, it's just good. It's just very tense, very, very tense, very violent. And there's a lot of very suspenseful scenes that I wasn't really expecting it to be that gory and that tense. The acting's pretty good, Like I said, it's not the best movie I've ever seen. And it's kind of crazy that it's this far down on the list, considering how much I actually liked it. But again, some of these might switch around a little bit, but this is kind of what I had up until now. Ready or Not, Here I Come. It's not as good as the first. I'll say that. It's not as good as the first. There's a lot that I like about this movie. Once again, Samara Weaving, she absolutely embodies this role and bodies this role. You know what I'm saying? Like, she is awesome. I love her. She just is not going to give a shit. She's just going to do what she has to do to get out of this. I will say that if they were going to do this again, I sort of wish that they did like an offshoot and had like another family with another type of game. But if they were going to do this again, it's great because you have Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton in here is just, perfect for her little sister and kind of matching that dynamic and being one of those new faces in the, these kind of young hip horror movies nowadays, like Young Frankenstein and Abigail and things like that. And I liked their relationship. It's a kind of basic relationship that you kind of get in these types of movies where they don't really like each other and then they come to like each other. I thought Catherine Newton's acting was good, but there were some spots where it was a little weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Samara Weaving is so good that she overshadowed her. I don't know. And if they were going to do this again, I think they came up with the best way, I think, that they could have done it. I'm not saying it's great, but it at least like sort of made sense. There are some things about it that I'm like, I just don't understand. But if there was going to be a sort of cult thing and satanic worship and all of that, they really do go for it, and it does make sense that you have more lore with it than and they provide some lore. They provide more dumb rich people and families who I think are generally pretty entertaining. Some of them are just like Sarah Michelle Gellar is good in this movie. I wanted her to kind of do more, but she's pretty good. And then her brother, I don't remember who he's played by. He's also good. Like, he's a good villain. He's annoying. He's just annoying because he's just like that brute force. I'm a big dumb guy. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. I will say, I really love Elijah Wood in this movie. My brother and I have this thing with some actors where they've just done enough already to be like solidified as we love you, that if they're in another movie, we're just like, thank you. You didn't have to do that for me, but I appreciate it. Elijah Wood is one of those actors. And he in this movie is awesome because he is very strictly neutral. He is by the rules of the book. And he just, no matter who is on which side of the game, he is sticking to the rules, and whatever happens, he does not have a personal agenda in this, and I thought that was great. And he plays that very well, too. So it's fun. It's got a lot of action sequences, a lot of violence, a lot of gore, and all of that. So those are pretty good, I really like that as well. And she gets back in the dress, and it's all bloody and everything. So once again, just, yes, queen. But not as good as the first, but I liked it just fine. Michael. All right. God, everybody loves this movie or freaking hates this movie. And I've decided I'm not on either, I guess. Kind of like the Mario movie, I know what to expect going in. I know I wasn't going to get, or I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of substance. I knew that. And honestly, I didn't really care. I went being like, hey, I'm going to watch. Being trained with these biopics anymore, honestly, I don't care about your basic story. I really just don't. I'm tired of it. It's the same plot points every time. It's, oh, this guy's an undiscovered talent. Who is this guy? And then he gets a record label. And then he gets another agent. And then he's got to move on from his first agent. And it's really sad. And then he gets screwed over by that new person. And his life's taking a dark turn. Or she. But I think they've all been he's at this point. Life's taking a dark turn. And they turn to drugs and alcohol. And their life starts to become a shambles. And then they realize how shit they've become. And then they repent. And they do one final performance to show that they've changed. And it's their best performance ever. And it's called their most known song. I get it. I'm tired of these movies. So honestly, when they said we had Michael Jackson in a movie, I was like, great. Give me Michael Jackson doing Michael Jackson moves and hee-hees and dances, and show me behind the scenes of some of his music videos and the creative side of that, and I'll be good. And that's what I got. And honestly, they did more of the emotional side than I expected them to. And I'll be honest with you, he was pretty good. Coleman Domingo. I love Coleman Domingo. And I hated him in this movie. He was so good. He's just sitting there like the whole time. It's really funny. Jafar Jackson. It looks kind of creepy. But, wow. Yeah. He inherited it all right. Jesus. I mean, listen. You can say nepotism all you want. Apparently, they had to go through a lot of people before they settled on him. And the thing is at the end of the day, like, you got to have somebody who can match the vibe, the choreography, how sharp it is, everything. And he does. It's Michael Jackson. You have to nail that. And this is one of the only times in a biopic, maybe the only time, where I really was like, that's not an actor. Like, I forgot this is an actor playing Michael Jackson and not just this is Michael Jackson, on stage. So that was all very cool. I liked that a lot. There's not a big amount of substance, but I really don't know what else they were supposed to have told us about. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why we are making the movie is, hey, there's all these things we haven't told you about. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. You should tell me about them. But then they just didn't. So maybe that's why. But the other big thing about the movie is that they really hammer home the Neverland, Disney, nice to animals, nice to people thing. And that's my only kind of, I don't want to say hang up, but kind of worry, because I know no matter what they do with the second one, it's not going to be well received by a lot of people. The problem is you either think he did stuff or you think he didn't. I really don't know. I don't know. I haven't done a super big amount of research looking into it. I have the impression he didn't do anything, but it is kind of odd. Look, so I think they're doing this to kind of set up for the second one. And I don't know if they're going to touch on it. I don't know if they're going to talk about it at all. I don't know if they're going to bring it up a little bit and kind of scrape over it or what. I don't know. So I don't know if it's actually going to be a big part of the movie. It seems like they're trying to not make it that. So we'll see. They're definitely painting him as this golden child and like the god that, the artist Michael Jackson is, but as a human being. And I get it. I mean, I'm sure he was a very, very nice person to all people. He was very calm and very peaceful. I get that. It just, I don't know. It seems kind of weird. Maybe that is just how he was. I don't know. Maybe I've just lost faith in humanity. I watched The Boys. Yeah, I have. All right, so Michael was good. We're still in the good tier. Kind of jumping right off of that into epic Elvis Presley in concert. So if you saw Elvis a couple years ago, Baz Luhrmann just is fanatic about Elvis, I guess, because he that was a crazy movie, and it was long about Elvis. But it's Baz Luhrmann, so it's going to be very eccentric. Evidently, what he did after that, after this 2 hour and 45-minute movie of Elvis, he was like, you know what? I don't think I've had my fill. I'm going to do a documentary cutting footage together of Elvis in concert. And I'm going to be honest, I probably wouldn't have gone to see this movie if it hadn't been for my dad asking me. So my dad's an Elvis fan. And I know this because he said, I'm going to go see this movie. You can come. You don't have to, but I'm going to go see it. I'm not sure of one time ever in my life that my dad has said, I'm going to go to a movie by myself. I knew he wanted to see this movie. And, I wanted to see it too. Because I thought that'd be pretty cool. I've never seen Elvis in concert, clearly. And I thought that would be pretty cool, especially I'm getting into documentaries a lot more, and it's cool to see behind the scenes, again, the creative process of things. Just to kind of at least touch on this, obviously Elvis has a lot of things that he's done that's just not great. One thing in particular, and it's not good. It's not good. And that's so having Elvis come out, followed up very quickly by Priscilla, wasn't a good look, and because it's not it's gross, frankly. The problem is, my dad's sitting next to me, just loving the crap out of this movie. And I can't stop thinking about this thing that Elvis did. But I also look at my dad just having such a good time with an artist that he loves. I don't want to be that guy to yuck his yum, you know what I'm saying? Plus, there's stuff about Elvis that I love too. artist wise, never been like ginormous like everything Elvis does, everything he touches. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna watch it. We're just gonna watch it, and I'm just gonna enjoy what's here. And what was there was cool. There was a lot of behind the scenes about how he acted with people and the public. It is actually kind of like the Michael Jackson movie. It's just insane to see, but this is in real time, seeing this real concert, how people just saw him as a god. Like, it's crazy, man. It's wild. I can't imagine being at that level of fame. I think I would just like crumble in on myself. But he had some willpower, I'll say that, to be on that stage doing that every night. That's crazy. He never exited the country. That's weird. He never went outside the country to perform. That's weird. But it was cool. Documentary style and everything was very cool. You get to see the actual Elvis in concert, which again I'd never seen. It was kind of a cool moment to see that. Even if it was like one of the later ones. But I think honestly at that point when he was like in the was it International Hotel, I think at that point that was like some of his biggest concerts. Even though he looked like he was about to keel over, that was when he was like the biggest. So that is cool to kind of be a part of that moment in history. And and then just all the behind the scenes stuff was cool as well. So it was a really good time, and I had a good time with my dad. And anytime we get to have a movie like that we can bond over is really cool, because my mom's into certain movies, my dad's into certain movies. We're not all into. There's some movies that we all really like, but it's cool when it's like ones that he and I can really bond over. Lots. That's cool. Obex. Ooh, Obex. This is a weird movie, but it's also not that weird. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of one of those that seems like it's weirder than it really is. And I will be honest, for the first, probably at least half of it, I wasn't quite sure what I was getting with this movie. Basically, it's about a guy who plays a lot of video games. He stays in his house. He has a dog. He doesn't really go outside a whole lot. And he gets this was cool. Something that he does is he takes pictures of people. They mail him pictures, and he does like symbols, like coding and things like that, to type out their face, their portrait. Kind of, I think The Office did that with Dwight, or I think there's like a poster of that or something. But he does it like insanely fast. He's really good at it, which is cool. People pay him to do this, and the only weird thing is that it's a lot of like parents sending their child for this. A little odd, but fine. And he one day gets a video game to, I guess, test out that is basically kind of his life, sort of another world he's kind of put into, right? So he's sort of sucked into this video game, and he kind of becomes a part of the video game. But it's not like Jumanji or something. Like it is an artsy film. It's black and white. It's the 3:4 aspect ratio. It's every indie student filmmaker's wet dream. But I liked it. Not to say but. I mean, like, indie student filmmaking is pretty cool too. And I liked it because while there's a lot of weird stuff about it, this is a weirdly very comforting movie. Like, it's got that vibe that we're all kind of looking for now in a lot of things, to take us back to that sort of 90s era VHS blockbuster, stay in your house and watch a bunch of movies sort of thing. The big TV, like the big honking not wide TVs, the heavy ones, the ones that you pick up and fall down. And he's got like 6 of them stacked on top of one another, which is really cool too. I don't know, just something about that was cool. And he's got tons of VHSs, all this stuff. So that aesthetic was very cool. And it's one of those that I could absolutely see myself rewatching this to kind of fall asleep to that like sort of comfort of the good old days, The problem is it gets kind of boring after a while, actually. I could see watching in parts and being invested in each part as it happens, but watching it as a whole got kind of boring. I was kind of starting to lose focus. I'm not gonna lie. I will say it's a little bit fantasy in some ways, which is cool because he's got to like fight this evil and all that stuff. He's kind of walking around like a German yodeler or something like that in this fantasy realm. But by the end of the movie, like you get what it's talking about. It's nothing crazy deep or anything, but it's just like, oh, okay, I can see the through line here. That's pretty cool. So it's got a lot of cool stuff. It is not as accessible as I would have liked it to be. Like, I really like it for what it was, but I thought it was just going to be like a super out there, really wild concept that you could watch over and over again for different things to pick up. I mean, I guess you can, like as I'm describing that, it does sound like what it is, but just not to the level I thought it was going to be. But as it so happens, Obex was still really cool. I would absolutely watch this again in terms of the feeling, the vibe of it. In terms of a story, it got a little. It's kind of slow. It's pretty dry at some points, but there's things about it I really do like. All right, next tier here, and again, God, Matt, shut up, stop talking. All right, Iron Lung. I liked Iron Lung a lot actually, and I do not know the video game. From what people tell me, it's a very short video game, so it's kind of crazy he made a very long movie out of it. But here's the thing. I don't know the video game. I don't even really know Markiplier that well. I never really watched a lot of his stuff. Maybe a couple things. I know the one where he was, it was the Try Not to Laugh, and it was like, I'm here to kick gum and chew ass, and I'm all out of ass. And so, he's a clown, and I love it. But I understand where people can definitely find this a very boring movie. I get it. Kind of like with Obex. It's more the vibe that I really stuck with. Because this movie is kind of like, I could see this movie as like setting being like one of those backgrounds you just put on YouTube to like fall asleep to. Like a sort of video game-esque, but like dystopian, underground, very dim lighting, sort of archaic technology kind of thing. I really liked a lot of that stuff in terms of how the sub works, the submarine, and the little things. There's like, I basically, without having played the video game, I could see how this is a video game because there's like 5 or 6 areas of the sub, and I feel like I could go over and take my flashlight and highlight this area and do something here, and then I could go over and do something there. So it was very cool. It said, the speaker is working again. See what they're saying in the speaker. Like, I really liked a lot of that stuff, and the overall aesthetic's really cool. It's also very creepy in spots. Again, it gets a little bit repetitive after a while, but I think for the most part, they actually do a pretty good job of keeping it as engaging as it could be with this like bottle movie premise, which is very cool. There's one thing in particular in terms of this creature that's just, it's just creepy. It's very, very creepy the way I don't say it moves. You don't see it move, but the way it's in one spot and then it's in another spot. It's just, ugh. But there was a lot of cool stuff about it. I actually did think that Markiplier was very good. I mean, not the most outstanding thing ever, but I thought, considering this is Markiplier, I only know him from memes and stuff. I could take him seriously, especially considering he's pretty much the only one in the movie carrying the whole movie. That's a hard thing to do. That is very hard. So, yeah, I liked it a lot. It's not something I think I have to go back to and rewatch the whole thing over again. Maybe at some point, but it's got some really cool stuff in there. Send Help. Send Help is the most recent one that I watched, and it's one of the first ones that came out this year. This was like that movie, kind of like I think Presents from last year, which I still haven't seen. That movie from the beginning of the year that I just didn't get to see. And every time I went to see it, it was, to watch it on streaming, it was actually still in theaters. But I was going to see other things in theaters by that point. And it was still in theaters because apparently it was that good. And people were like, oh my God, this is actually amazing. And I was like, man, Sam Raimi doing gore stuff again, like, really violent horror kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm in for that. on an island. That's pretty cool. Again, a kind of very claustrophobic, close movie. And I'll say this: it's actually less tense than I expected it to be. It's at some points it's kind of a comedy. At some points it's kind of a romance. Like it kind of has everything in here, and so it's a little bit more lighthearted, even in the violent aspects. It's a little bit more lighthearted than I expected. And some ways I like that. In some ways I wish it was a little bit more on the aggressive side, the violent side. There's definitely a lot of violence in this movie. In some ways, there's a lot of blood. But actually, I liked it more for the characters and how they act towards each other. I like that it's a little unconventional in this kind of movie. The characters would probably go in this sort of direction and stay that way, but they kind of flop back and forth, which is really cool. I will say again, I will be the first to admit I am horrendous when it comes to guessing twists. I think it might just be that if I really sat down and paused the movie and thought about it, I'd probably come up with at least half of them, maybe. But I'm just not sitting there thinking about it because I don't want to ruin the movie for myself. Like I call being bad at guessing twists the same as I do with being a lightweight. You're making fun of me, but who's having more fun? There is a twist at the end of this movie that I genuinely didn't expect. Apparently, it's in the trailer. I just didn't see that. I saw the trailer. I'm stupid. And I thought that was pretty good. I was genuinely actually pretty shocked. I was like, oh, shit. That's interesting. What's that going to bring? And I think what I was there to see in the movie, which was them kind of hunting each other down, we got some of it, not as much as I wanted there to be. But the other stuff that was in there, I liked a lot as well. I really did like it, the dynamics between them and the kind of the mind games. There are two moments where I think really one moment where Rachel McAdams' character kind of shows how crazy. I mean, she shows how crazy she can be in a lot of ways, but shows how crazy she can be if pushed too far. And I thought that this was probably the best part of the movie, is that this is this character who is being mistreated, and she is sort of the hero, and we're rooting for her, but she's not completely uninsane herself. Sorry, that was like thousands of negatives, but she's not like completely with it herself. She's got some issues. But at the end, you're still like, yeah, like I'm rooting for you. Kill that guy, whatever. And that was pretty cool because she does have good motivations, and she is just a very interesting character because she does know how to survive on this island, and what he was teasing her for, he now has to rely on. And so, all that was very cool. I think she was definitely the best part of the movie. And Dylan Thomas is also very good. Dylan O'Brien. Who's Dylan Thomas? Hold on. Who's Dylan Thomas? We're going to look up who Dylan Thomas is because I did this watching the movie. I was like, here comes his name, Dylan Thomas. And it was like, Dylan O'Brien, you idiot. That's exactly what it said in the movie. They knew I was going to come watch it. Dylan Thomas is a poet who looks like this. So, so that's pretty close. I understand why I thought that. Okay. He was also very good. I've only seen him in a couple things, and most of them I thought he was, fine, but nothing super stand out to me. And he was pretty good in this. I really liked him as kind of the asshole boss. They go with a lot of the very, very stereotypical cliche asshole boss things, like golf and women. I guess that stands to reason in some respects, but I thought they could have been a little bit more nuanced with it, but other than that, it's pretty good. So yeah, overall, Send Help was it was a good time. I think not as impactful and aggressive as I wanted it to be, but I liked it. Hokum was one from last year, or that I think I saw the trailer for last year, and I was like, I need to see this movie. I need to see it when it comes out. And I really hope, because it has Osgood Perkins energy, that it's not directed by Osgood Perkins. Because Oz Perkins has nailed the feat of having a trailer that looks bonkers and has so many cool images, and it's like, this is going to be really scary, and the movie just does not hold up to that. Longlegs, honestly, is the best one so far that I've seen of the last couple of years of Perkins stuff that is closest to doing that, but the trailers and the marketing for that movie were so phenomenal. I don't think anything was going to hold up to that. Keeper was a major disappointment for me, and The Monkey was also kind of a disappointment for me. So I was like, please, for the love of God, just be good. Just Hokum, just be good. And it was, because it's not directed by Oscar Perkins. It's directed by, hold on, because I recognize what else this guy has done, and now I just don't really remember, which sucks, because I like the other stuff that this guy has done. Damian McCarthy, he did, Oddity. Yeah, Oddity was an interesting one. Actually, I was a little bit disappointed by the end of that one, but this one I liked better. Hokum is interesting because it starts out in a way that's just, like, I have no idea where it's going to go from here, because it starts out in a way that's kind of like, all right, I know where we're going with this, and then something happens maybe 20 minutes in, and you're like, what? How is this the beginning of the movie? And then you get into what the movie's really about. And I will say, it was very, like, I just appreciate a movie that can give me good scares and creeps and everything like that, and I don't need to be terrified afterward, but I'm like, God, thank you. You did something a little bit original. You gave me a really good, unique, I don't even say a fresh take on, but like just another set of unique scares with this type of horror, this type of creature, whatever it is. In this case, it's a witch. It was really good. It actually, it gave me a lot of, I don't know if any of you have seen Cobweb. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. The last 10 minutes of that movie are fine. It kind of goes downhill a little bit, but I think Cobweb was very underrated. This movie gave me a lot of Cobweb vibes. But I really like Adam Scott playing an asshole. I didn't know that he was good at that, because I don't think I've really ever seen him play. No, he was in Step Brothers. I think he was kind of an asshole, but this is kind of in a different way, because he really sucks. There was parts that I thought they were taking a little bit too far, but then a friend of me reminded me of something that this character does in the movie that I'm like, you know what? I guess, he would act like that anyway, before this moment. And the setting is very cool. It's, I believe it's Ireland or Scotland. Ireland. I'm sorry. They're not the same. I know that. I'm both. But I know they're not the same, but it's one of those two. Watch it be neither. And basically he gets stuck in this one room, and there's a witch, and there's a creepy ass kids show host that he keeps remembering about stuff in his past. It's just a really good, kind of surreal experience to watch in a theater. There's just a lot of clever stuff in it. Like, it's nothing that I'm looking to like is like blowing me away, but it's just a really good time in the movie. At one point something happened, and both my friend and I turned to each other at like the exact same time, like, this is a good movie. We really liked it a lot. So yeah, Hokum is definitely lives up to that. I really love the vibes too. It takes place around Halloween. Kind of wish they had done more with the Halloween thing. I'm not gonna lie, that would have really sealed it as like, I'm gonna rewatch this at Halloween a lot. They didn't really do that, but you could still watch it. It's got that kind of fall, gloomy, European country vibe. It's European, nondescript European country to be determined vibe. All right, we got so many movies left. Solo Mio. Ay, Dios mio. God, I'm losing my mind. I really liked this movie a lot. I'm actually pretty shocked this is as high on the list as it is, but I really did. If you told me that Solo Mio, a romance sort of drama movie that takes place in Italy starring Kevin James, would have been in my top 10 so far and top half of the list at the beginning of the year, I would have been like, you got to be crazy. Above Scream and The Bride and Michael and all of these. I really liked this movie a lot. It is very heartwarming. It's just, I love how a lot of the movie is about like it's okay to be by yourself and it's okay to grieve and hang out with friends, even friends you've just made, um, over things that have happened to you. It's not the deepest thing in the world, like if A24 had done this, it probably would have been way more intense. But I like that. I like that's a little more lighthearted. Obviously there is still romance in it, and that is a big part of it. And part of me wishes it was a little bit more nuanced in terms of, you know, talking about you don't have to end up with somebody, and that's fine. But I really just have grown to love movies that talk about life in a way that's just not, and especially relationships, in a way that's just not cliched, and it doesn't end in a way that you expect. It just talks about it in a way that's real emotions, real moments, maturity about it. That's why I love Past Lives. This one is nowhere near as intense as Past Lives, or probably as nuanced, but I do like a lot what this does, especially for Kevin James' career, man. Like, he was just a dud after dud, kind of these Adam Sandler movies, and he tried to be serious in, I think it was Becky, and from what I haven't seen it, but from what I've seen, he actually does a pretty good job at that. And I'm like, I'm a big believer. You give an actor the right role, they can shine no matter what they've done. We've seen that so many times with comedians too, especially especially comedians, because they're the ones that usually like, you can't do drama. And this wasn't a full-on drama, but it was the right kind of drama that he can do. And I liked that a lot for him. He was great in this role. Of course, his name is Matthew. Of course, he's alone. But yeah, this was a very charming movie. I love this setting. I love the characters that he's with, and that they've just met him, but they're all in this kind of couples honeymoon thing. And they're like, we're gonna take different approaches to like get you back on your feet. Some of them are like, you gotta get him back out there, man. And the others are like, no, he's gotta have time to cry. It's fine to cry. And they're all fighting with each other over it because they're all like dealing with that in their own relationships. It's just really good. It's a very heartwarming, nice time. I really like this movie a lot. It puts a smile on my face, Oh, talking about put a smile on my face. Billie Eilish. So, this I actually didn't anticipate seeing and talking about in this video, from my aunt, who is somehow a bigger Billie Eilish fan than I am. I'm actually probably in the world of Billie Eilish fans, not as high. That's because they're actually kind of insane. But if you don't know, I love Billie Eilish. She is probably in my top 5 of, at least in terms of modern, like today, artists and just people. I love her. Love her songs. She is probably one of the only ones, her, AJR, Panic at the Disco, maybe one or two others, where I actually know most of, if not all of their songs, and also like most of, if not all of their songs. So, I mean, and also with that, she's the only one where I think all of them are, it's a much different vibe from the others. Like AJR is very campy and quirky, and Panic at the Disco is just straight up just like a good, sort of punk into modern pop, sort of rock, sort of pop, whatever band. Whereas Billie Eilish is the very soft, I'm gonna say it's not mumble rap, it's gonna be whisper pop, I'm gonna call it, while also having a lot of really weird, creepy stuff too in some of her earlier stuff. So I've never seen her in concert. She's one of the only ones I have yet to still see in concert, because every time now she's so big, every time she comes out with something, it's like, hey, you can sit in the back for $4 million. And I'm like, let me think about it. So this was the closest I was going to be able to get for a while. And when they said James Cameron is doing a Billie Eilish concert movie, I was like, what? Why? Why is James Cameron doing it? Yeah, I guess James Cameron just wanted to do it. And he did a great job. And, my thought process was, all right, how hard is it to film a concert? You set up the cameras and then you cut it together. But I was wrong, because there's a lot of really cool shots in here that they had to plan out. You really have to think about it. Obviously, it's about the concert, it's about the music, but this is for people who either didn't go to a concert for her or went to the concert, but now you get to see more up close. And you get to see angles you wouldn't have seen. And especially with Billie Eilish in this concert that I'm seeing, half of the concert, usually the fun is seeing the stuff in the background screen, the gimmicks that they do, all that kind of thing. With her, I didn't give a crap what was on the screen because it's just her running around, doing cool stuff, being her, embracing this hip hop sort of aesthetic. And it's just so cool. I didn't really care what was on the screens, and I don't think really most people did, because it's just about her being in the moment with everybody. And honestly, I was really impressed that she was able to keep all that up for like an hour and a half and it didn't get boring. And there's a lot of cool ideas. She has like a handheld camera that she kind of goes around with. She, puts it down at one point, starts crawling towards the camera, and that made me feel some type of way. And there was also a lot of documentary footage interspliced with it. And funny enough, I went into this movie going, I hope it's mostly the concert, not as much documentary footage, because I want to see the concert. And actually, I left going, I could have gotten more documentary footage, because there's a lot, but it's mostly about the day of the concert. But there's also questions, about like her creative process and how she feels about it, how she feels about fame and all that. And she's a very down-to-earth person, so it's very cool. I actually just kind of wish there was more of that. Then there's definitely more that I can look up, but it would have been cool to have more of that in the moment. But honestly, just as it is with the concert, and I was surprised. She played most of the songs I really wanted her to play, even the older ones, deep cuts. She played Elo Milo. I never expected that. I didn't think that was nearly big enough, and it's a very odd, creepy song. So I didn't expect that at all. And even she tried to get as many in there as she could, even if she only played little bits. She even played Lovely, and I didn't expect her to do that because it's with Khalid. So like, how's she gonna? But she played a little bit of it, which is cool. Phineas came in. Like, there's all these little things that make it really cool. And there was a lot of little surprises in there. She played When the Party's Over, which I think is maybe my favorite of her songs. The only one she couldn't play, well, two that she couldn't play that I really would have liked to have seen were No Time to Die and especially Billy Bossa Nova. But, I mean, this was fantastic. The thing is, I can't really rate it as a movie because, yes, it's a movie, but it's really a filming of a concert with documentary footage spliced in, and I would have liked some more of that. And because of that, it's a little bit lower. It's not like right up the top, but it doesn't really feel like a movie to me, so I can't exactly. I mean, it's the same thing with the Elvis one, but that at least had a little bit more of like a story going on. This one was mostly just the concert, so I kind of, I can't really rate it with the others, but just for the experience that I had and the little things about it that are movie-like that I could rate, it is where it is on this list, and it's a great time. It was a very fun time seeing it with my aunts and a bunch of other of their family members and cousins and all who we all just love Billie Eilish. It was a good time. We all dressed in just the baggiest clothes and hoodies and hats, and I wore a backwards flat brim hat, and that is not me. I cannot pull that shit off at all. So that was it's the one time you'll see it. The one time. All right. Lastly, in the top row. Oh my God, I have so much to say about all of these. All right, let's do it. The drama. This is honestly probably the movie out of all these movies that I will have the most thoughts on that I will not be able to express at this moment. Because I'm still thinking about that movie. If you haven't seen it by now, I'm not going to spoil what it's about because the plot of the movie is a spoiler. It's something that happens very early on where you have no idea where it's really going to go, and then somebody says something, and you're like, oh, okay. This is that kind of movie. Shit. And it's a very heavy movie, but it's also a little bit funny at times, which is real odd. It's funny in a way that it's very uncomfortable, I'll say that. And only in certain parts. Most of the movie's not funny. I don't want to build this as a comedy. But it's funny in ways that are just uncomfortable and awkward.
So I'll just start off right off the bat saying Robert Pattinson, Zendaya are great in these roles. Anything that they're in, especially Robert Pattinson, he just does a wide range of stuff. I'm gonna go see it. Actually, at first I wasn't gonna go see this because it sounded, again, not really knowing what the movie's about because you don't want it to be spoiled for you. The drama. Yay. That doesn't sound like that interesting of a movie, to be honest with you. But after knowing what it was about halfway through the movie, or a little bit of ways into the movie, I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm on board because I want to know where this ends. And it's just, I think what I like about this movie the most is that there's no right answer. There's no really right way to look at it. There's no one consensus on what they're trying to say. This movie is hey, what if this happened? Fuck you. Like this is a what if in the worst scenario, because it's all about what you know about a person and how if you didn't know it, it'd be fine, but you know it. So now what? And everybody can have different perspectives of what they would do in a situation like this, because they also put in a lot of details throughout and just story beats and character beats that it's like, okay, well, if I were to think this, but they said this about it, so maybe they're, I should think another way. Like, it just makes it hard to figure out exactly where you fall and what you would do. It gets you to confront a very weird topic. And it's like, okay, great. I may never have to be in that topic of conversation. I may never have to have that happen in my life. God hoping I don't. But it's the idea that I can't stop thinking about it now. It's been presented to me, and I have to answer that to myself. Theoretically, if I was in this position, what would I do? And saying I don't know, or saying this or that, and feeling like that's the wrong answer is stressful. I'm going to go to my grave knowing I don't know what I would have done in this situation. That's what a movie should do, because that's an original movie. Because without that movie, I wouldn't have been thinking this. And now I'm thinking this. And I will never not think it. It's crazy. And I don't think I've ever had a more solid feeling on where to place a movie in my Letterboxd, because I all the other ones before this I had more fun with, and I just like more as a whole. But this has to be right below those really, really, really good ones that I enjoy and will go back to, because just of how much it makes me think and how much it has affected, not just me, but just affected the world of movies. Even if you haven't heard about it or anything, it's just one of those movies that as soon as you see it, you're like, crap, I can't unsee it. And that's kind of perfect for the movie itself. It's like, once you know it, you can't go back to not knowing it. It's crazy. It's a very, very, very interesting movie. And I'm glad it was made. It just does some different stuff, So that's very cool. And it gets pretty crazy towards the end. And again, it's one of those, it's like, how do you even end this if there's no right one answer? And I think they ended it about the best way that they could. Things are resolved, but there's not hey, we did it, or hey, now we know what to do next time, or hey, this is the message. I like that we're getting a lot of movies like that now, and it has made me kind of reconsider a lot of movies that I've seen before of, some movies aren't trying to give me a message. I thought movies had to give you a message, and if they didn't give you the right message, then they sucked. But if they're not trying to give you a message, they're just trying to say, hey, look at this. Thoughts? That's pretty cool. I like that. We'll see. The drama is very interesting. If you have not seen it, if you thought, it's A24, two actors who have been in everything forever, and it's called The Drama, which is, go see it. Or, I don't know, maybe don't. Maybe you don't want to know. Do you want to know what's in the box? It's like Pandora's movie. All right. Top 4. Good luck, have fun, don't die. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is a very fun time. It's a very fun time. It's kind of like Black Mirror, the movie, but like more coherent and better. About a guy who walks into a diner one day wearing the weirdest stuff made of wires and coats, and he looks homeless and like a robot. And he says he's from the future, and there is a war on AI happening, and the Earth's going to demolish itself with AI and robots unless he gets a group of people to help him. And there's some combination of people in this diner that help him to defeat this. And he has gone through 70 or however many, 170 rounds of people trying to find the right combination. And so now this movie is about him with this combination of people that he has chosen. So not only is it cool because we get this big, broader goal, like this mission to try to stop this AI with these people, this kind of ragtag group of people, and what they're going to bring to the table and all. But we get their backstories as well. And all their backstories are also dystopian nightmares. There's one in particular that's just like harrowing, but again, it just they're able to write in comedy about this thing that is, I don't know how they did it, and it can be funny, but I think it's not because it's not like they're making fun of the thing that happens. They're not being like jokes about this thing. It's jokes about how ridiculous the people around that thing are, and how crazy close we are to some of this dystopian shit in our world with how people act and AI and all that. So it's relevant, but it is also just a crazy, entertaining movie in terms of a lot of these backstories and the things that these people went through to get to this point, and how they got to this diner, and then what they're going to do now. And just in terms of the, I say it a lot, but the aesthetic, the whole crazy robots, wires, toys, futuristic stuff, all of that is very cool. It ends. The ending was a little confusing for me. I'm not going to lie. It's one of those that I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch for little details and stuff. It's one of those that kind of starts to fuck with your brain a little bit. But I think for the most part, I got it. Up until that point, at least, for sure, it was just a good time. I think it goes a little bit off the rails for me towards the end. Just a little bit, but it kind of services what the point of the movie is and what the twist of the movie is at the end. Sam Rockwell is amazing. He's just gotten better and better. The first thing I ever saw him in was 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And, being the character that he was and being who I was at the time, where the first role I see of somebody, if they're playing somebody who's supposed to suck, I now hate that actor. Same thing happened with Bradley Cooper. He played in American Hustle, and I hated him in that movie. So I hated him. Always come to find out, oh, wait, they're actually a pretty cool person. They're a pretty good actor. Duh. Same with Sam Rockwell. So that was really cool. And everybody in this movie is just good. It's just a fun movie. It's just fun, ridiculous. It should be. It's one of those movies that feels like it should be fine or stupid, or it's got some good stuff in it, but overall it's just kind of meh. But it actually ends up being a really good time. I did have fun, and I didn't die. All right. The Bone Temple. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. This was one of the only ones I forgot to do this is the first one I forgot to do an out-of-theater reaction for. So I never talked about this at all, any of my thoughts. And this was my number one, obviously, at a certain point. This was my first number one of the... Actually, that's not true. I guess my first number one was Primates, the first movie I saw. But this was like, okay, this is my number one movie of the year so far. Because they took the first 28 years later and just ramped it up everything. This movie is metal as hell. It's just, I don't know. It's a very curious way that they're going with this, because in the first 28 years later, they set up a couple different things with this Bone Temple. They set up with, back at in the home village with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character as the dad. They were doing a lot of things, and it's funny because since halfway through the first movie, we have not gone back. And I do think it's cool. Like we went to the city side where all the infected are, and we're staying there because we're screwed. We're there. We're in a lot of trouble. And the second one just took that and was like, we're just going to do every cool thing we can with it. Now, the end of the first one, I think, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, or at least mildly confused a lot of people, including myself, because we had this really cool zombie movie and a lot of cool progressions, I guess, from the first two 28 movies. And then suddenly you come in after all this emotion and all of this violence and gore and everything, and you got these, like, I don't know, what are they called? Cirque du Soleil Prince Charmings from Shrek. Like, what the hell? And apparently that is actually supposed to be a reference to some, like, their look, the blonde people. That's supposed to be a reference to some serial killer in England that we just don't know about because we're American and we're boring. We have our own issues. So I didn't know that. But either way, this movie starts off being like, these are who these people are, and we're going to tell you. And I thought because, what's his name? It's not Alfie. It's not Alfie. I think that's the actual kid's name. Spike. I thought because Spike was a kid, they were going to, like, be easy on him. No. They will kill him if they want. So that was already cool. That was already cool that it's like, all right, they're not going to pull punches, right? Like, these are the people they said that they are. They are violent, and this is dangerous. But we also get to go back to the doctor, Ray Fiennes' character, in the Bone Temple, and he is trying to see if he can cure one of the infected. Obviously, I'm not going to say where this ends up. I will say that it did make me think a little bit about how we're like, okay, just they're zombies, okay? They're not. We don't have to call them. They're just zombies. Just call them what they are. Maybe that's not entirely the case. Just saying. But where this movie gets real good is when these two plots kind of come together. And it's weird. This franchise just seems to be, or these two at least seem to be, just putting things together that I just didn't expect. It just doesn't go in a formulaic way. I don't know where this trilogy's going. It's just kind of doing stuff, and I'm here for it. They're just like, yeah, let's just have an adventure over here. We'll have them do that and run from that. Okay. And you get all these really cool characters together who are very well fleshed out and have really interesting personalities, and you bump them together and see what happens. And it ends with one of the most metal scenes I have seen in a long time. Ray Fiennes freaking awesome. It's very emotional. It's just cool. Very satisfying. There's a lot of good music. Ray Fiennes' character loves Duran Duran. My guy. And yeah, it was just really good. If you like at all the first 28 Years Later, you've got to see this one if you haven't already. If you didn't like the first 28 Years Later and you're like, I'm not going to go see the Bone Temple, please see it. Because they are waiting to see if, actually, they probably already have decided at this point, if Bone Temple did well enough to make the third one. I just want to be like, you know what, fuck that. If you're going to get fans for something, just make it. Don't tease me about it. Just make it, okay? Ugh. So, I want to get people to watch this movie so that they make that one. I think that it did well enough that they're going to greenlight it. I really hope. So that was my first one that I was like, this is definitely the number one of the year. Then I saw Project Hail Mary. Project Hail Mary came out the same week as one of these other ones. I want to say, was it The Bride? I think it was The Bride. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see Project Hail Mary first because I've heard a lot of good things about it. I was just pulled more towards it. When I first saw the trailer for it, like, beginning of this year, whatever, I was like, all right, it looks like Spaceman. It looks like Ad Astra and all these, I get it. Yeah, another space movie, and oh yeah, it's been kind of fun. And we got Ryan Gosling, so we love Ryan Gosling. But it just kind of looked like another one. but it looked fun. And then I kept hearing all this stuff about it, how good it was. People are like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. I freaking love this movie. And I did not expect that. I expected it to be a movie where I walked out and was like, you know what, that was really good. That was a very good theater experience. I really love that. It's charming. Did not really watch it again. I have said it before and I'll say it again. Some of the best movies on this earth, most of them, are the simplest. They follow a formula but do it in a way that's just not boring or stereotypical. It's just good relationship building, character building, plot building, a good script. That is what you need. It's not easy to do, but simply put, that's it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to make the wheel correctly. I almost had a really good quote there. We'll come back to it. But Project Hail Mary does that in spades. Ryan Gosling just gets better with age, man, with his acting. And he's hot. I love Ryan Gosling in this movie. He is trying to play a nerd. I guess he can be a nerd. But it's not fair that he can be a hot nerd. Also, his glasses, right? Okay, we have to pay for these, sir. You can't just be like Vice Principal Krubbs from Ned's Declassified with them. Respect your glasses, god damn it. So obviously the main pull about this movie is his relationship with Rocky, which is like the most generic name ever. They could have named him any. I mean, obviously this is based off a book by Andy Weir, but they could have named him anything. They named him Rocky, and we just all fell on our knees for it. And I get it. Their relationship, the way it's built, is just it's a sort of by the numbers thing, but it's just good. It's just beautiful. It's fun. It's emotional. They make you really feel for them and for each other, and it's very funny. There were parts of this movie that I was absolutely busting out laughing, especially when Rocky moves in to Riley Grace's ship, and he's starting to get into his personal space. All of that was just killing me. But yeah, it's not like this is a movie where I'm like, hey, I got to talk about this thing and that thing because they're so revolutionary. They're not. It's just really good. It's just a good original, based off a book adaptation, but not a sequel, like something original, right? Just good. I like the science aspects of this. Apparently the book goes deeper into that. But I liked what we got of this because the scientific aspects are like interesting. They're very inventive, very cool. I could see that, being a believable thing. Somebody like me can be like, oh, I get it. I get the science. I understand. But in a way that's also really fun. This movie ends about 17 times. I'll say that. Every time I think it's going to end, it's like, wow, they're taking their time with the ending. That's great. Wow, they're taking their time with the next ending. That's great. They're really, when's this going to end? I have to pee. So it was good. But I was like, all right, we can wrap this up. But even the backstory stuff that they kind of keep cutting back to, even that leads up to something that is, I was like, wow, I didn't expect this to have such an emotional punch at the end of the flashbacks, And the flashbacks, I think, could have been interspersed a little bit better because at a certain point we are doing like kind of alternating, and then it gets to a point where we're kind of with Rocky and Grace for a while, and it goes back to another flashback. I'm like, whoa, we're still doing this. So that was a little bit jarring, but I'm picking it, I'm grasping at straws here for critiques. I love this movie so much, and also visually is absolutely beautiful. Just it feels ginormous. The colors of this in space, everything, absolutely amazing. If you have to have at least heard about this movie by now, but if you haven't, you should see it. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it on the biggest screen that you can. All right, woo, we've made it to my newest, as of last Thursday, my newest #1 movie so far of 2026. And it was a hard one to beat for Project Hail Mary. But my God, I am just so satisfied when I have every hope for a movie and I was correct. It is, you know how good you have to be in the world of filmmaking now that people can go, oh, he's got this. And then you do got this. You either have, I don't know about this, and then the expectation is like, wow, actually it was pretty good. Or he's got this. And it's like, man, that actually kind of disappointed me. Curry Barker does not play around. A friend of mine introduced me to Curry Barker's stuff last year. And it was funny because I was like, oh, my friend knows a lot of like obscure stuff on YouTube. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, cool. He's showing me this guy who's got a couple shorts and one sort of like a feature that he's made himself at a very low budget on YouTube. And it's good. The acting is like, even for the ones that were shorts, I was like, the acting doesn't feel like in the acting. It feels like these are just real people talking, like what a revolutionary concept in a movie. And he introduced me to all of these things, and there's parts in some of these shorts especially that I was like, whoa, I want to see this guy do more things, because he's just got this way of doing moments that are uncanny and creepy, and he does things that I wouldn't have ever thought to do in a horror movie. And I'm like, please do more of it. There's one short that he has called The Chair. I like Warnings a lot better, but he has one called The Chair, and it has probably one of like the top 10 horror moments that brought me out of my body, because I just didn't expect that thing to happen at all. And it, like, I had like a lapse in life for a moment, because I was like, oh shit, like I forgot where I was, because it was just, it's probably not even that scary. I just did not expect it. So I had high hopes going into this. And it was funny because he introduced me to this. I'm thinking, okay, it's a smaller, obscure kind of YouTuber. And the next thing I know, this guy's doing a ginormous movie, going to the big screens for Focus Features and then Blumhouse. I was like, what the? I came in at the right time, Or actually, I came in at the right time because now I can say I'm not a bandwagoner. Yeah, I came in first, bitches. You're not allowed to like him. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to be a gatekeeper. God. Maybe a little. Obsession pretty much met my expectations. Expectations can be so high, like when I went to see Weapons last year, that I can even think, did it meet my expectations? Am I just overthinking it? And maybe it actually does suck, or maybe it wasn't as good, or maybe it was too formulaic. And I will say, this movie kind of follows a formula, and it does a lot of moments we have seen in other movies. The thing is, they do them so well and uniquely and scarily. Is good. He just has a really good way of directing actors and moments and facial expressions and these little things that are just slightly inhuman, but human enough. It's very uncanny. There's only, I think, 2 aspects of this movie in which it doesn't feel like a human thing. It feels like mostly a supernatural thing. But what I'm happy about is that they don't go fully in a supernatural direction. A little bit. Vague enough that it's scary and abstract, and there's a lot of questions that I don't need answered, that are better left unanswered, because it's like, what? How does this even work? The rules are mostly explained, but there's a couple things that happen, and I'm like, oh, please don't explain that. Just leave it. That's great. And in that same way, there's shots where I go, please keep doing the shot right now. Keep on this shot forever. Just keep doing it. It's going to make it even scarier. And it's awesome. It's awesome. I like how he doesn't really use music a lot, except for when he wants to. And it's good. And it's like synthy, because for some reason, synth music and horror go really well together now. I don't know if that's always been a thing, but that's like a big thing now. And it was good. It gives this kind of ethereal vibe. All the actors are doing an amazing job. The guy, hold on, I know the actress's name. Trust me, I know the actress's name. But the guy who I'm really hoping does not get overshadowed buy the other one. Okay, so Michael Johnston, yeah, he is absolutely amazing in this movie. He is just the worst guy ever. He's such a coward. He's such a jerk. And he plays him incredibly well, and the emotion and everything. My issue is that I think he's going to get overshadowed because Indy Neverett has probably one of the single best breakout performances we have seen in a long time. I mean, obviously, you're always going to be overshadowed by the one who gets to do the craziest shit in the movie and gets to be the craziest, but it's also applause-worthy when you can do that well, because it can also go in a way that is it's just not good. You have to go for 100%, and you either do it or you don't. And she does it. She does it real well. Facial expressions, her mannerisms, even her voice, her no, like it's just it's so good. Yeah. Everything about this movie, there's at least several parts of it that I left the theater going, I don't want to think about that again. A lot of people have compared this to Hereditary because there's a lot of inspiration, I think, taken from Hereditary in terms of shot types and horror moments and tropes and things like that. And he does his own thing with it, while also having kind of a very unique filmmaking style where he kind of breaks the rules a lot too. But just in terms of the general terror, I think for me, Hereditary still tops in terms of, if I think about the movie or watch that movie, I am absolutely 100% terrified. That's just me. This movie, though, Obsession, does make a case. It makes a case because it's not just the scenes themselves, it's the underlying stuff that's going on, the underlying terror about what's really happening to this person. Because it's a premise that we've seen a lot. You know, somebody wishes that somebody's in love with them, they put them under a magic spell, and a love potion, whatever. But they do it here in a way that's a little bit more realistic. It's a little bit more gradual. It's a little bit more nuanced. And it's just a lot scarier. But it also, I think, gets you a little bit more into like the headspace of, just what is this actually doing to this person? Because in this type of trope, we see it in movies all the time where the person's just like, I love you, let's be together forever. Even if they do go the kind of crazy route, we never really see the very nitty-gritty, creepy, nauseating details of like, this person is suffering under this spell. And we see that here. So, yeah, and then it's just one of those things of, is this movie going to, for as good as it is the ending going to satisfy? And it could have gone in a number of directions. I think it definitely ends in a way that I could see, like, if this had just been like a YouTube movie ending, and kind of like, oh, that's pretty clever, very simple but clever. And I thought that was good. I'm still debating whether on the ending I would have liked it to go this way or that way, another way. But I think as what was there was really, really good in terms of how the characters end up. And let me tell you what, Curry Barker is just, he does not hold back. He's like, I'm going to put my characters through shit. I'm going to put you through shit. And then you're going to leave. So, oh man. So yeah, as of right now, Obsession is my obsession. It is really, really good. And Indy Neverett. I'm so jealous of this entire. I want to be the one to make something like that and just have people be like, man, this affected me. But when it comes to horror, it's hard nowadays to do something that's not even something original, but just do it in a way that's original and unique. It gets people talking. So props to them. And have you seen Curry Barker in those like red carpet, like the interviews and the red carpet shots and everything? That guy's gonna eat fame up. I think they all are. But yeah, Obsession was really good. I'm very excited to see it again. I was almost going to see it again on Monday, and then I got COVID for a fourth time, so that sucked. But I'm going to see it again at some point very soon. So, well, guys, this has been well. I was going to say it's been entirely longer than I thought it was going to be, but at this point, I knew it was going this long. I never shut up. I have to go through everything. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so that is, and obviously, this is live, but it's going to stay up there. So you can go back and tell people to go watch it if they want to see about all this stuff. I was going to say if I had time, I would go through my Letterboxd a little bit. Maybe that'll just be like a whole other video that I do, just something that I can do live, just to kind of go through stuff. Or again, just like a scrolling through and I'll edit it together or something. But what I will do for now, just to give a little sneak peek, is sneak peek. I mean, it's not like you don't know the movies that are coming out this year, but some of the movies that are on my watch list coming up. Obviously, this weekend we've got The Mandalorian and Grogu, and that's going to be the thing I see first because I'm just excited for a fun, don't have to think too much space adventure with The Mandalorian and my little baby Yoda Grogu. One thing I really hope they don't, and it looks like they're going to do it, I really don't want them to do like a connecting it to the Empire, bigger story thing. Just give me another random good villain, one last final adventure in battle. That's all I need. I don't need bigger plot. Stop with the Empire and the First Order and the Sith. Get out of here. Ugh, but they're going to do it, and I know they're going to do it. So I hope it's just not a big, humongous deal about it. We also get I Love Boosters this weekend, which I wasn't originally going to think about seeing, but I don't know. Maybe it's because of the 17 million ads that I've seen. I might go see it. Now I kind of don't want to even more because they're getting fucking annoying. But I can't say it doesn't look interesting. And it's also by the same director who did Sorry to Bother You, and I really love Sorry to Bother You. You know what really sealed it for me, though? It was the ad with Lakeith Stanfield, where he was like, God, you're just, everything about you is perfect right now. Anyway, come here, come and see this movie. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go see it. I'll go see it. I realized that I think a lot in this live video here. I feel like I've given off the impression that I'm bisexual. I'm not. I don't think. I just really appreciate a good looking dude who just has a good vibe, Ryan Gosling. I'm not gay, but if I was gonna be gay, it would be for a couple of these people. Anyway, that was a weird tangent. Anyway, I'm gonna go see I Love Boosters, I think, as well. It looks pretty fun. And I like Will Poulter doing weird stuff. We also get the Backrooms next weekend. And again, and I didn't mention this, but with like Iron Lung and Obsession and the Philippa brothers and Shelby Oaks, this rise of YouTubers just making it big with horror, especially, and just movies in general. So I mean, basically, it's just been horror. It is awesome. It is a door. It's like a gateway for younger indie people. It doesn't have to be younger, but indie people to get a foot in and do something. And it goes to show how good indie original directors and ideas can be, and how good and important horror is. So that's really cool. And Kane Parsons is doing the Backrooms, and the Backrooms looks like it's going to be an hour and 45-minute movie that feels 5 hours long. It looks like it's going to be the most claustrophobic movie I have ever seen. I'm kind of not ready for that, to be honest with you, but I'm very excited to see what happens because this was a big internet thing, and this just looks like a really cool idea and a really cool setting for a movie. I did not get to see They Will Kill You. That's probably the only one that I would have added to this list if I could have seen it in time, but it was still in theaters, and now it's still to rent for like $20 and all that stuff. So I really want to see it, though, because it came out at the same time as Ready or Not, Here I Come, and it seems to have sort of the same vibe. And a lot of people are saying it was very fun time. So that's something I definitely want to see. And Mother Mary, I also didn't get to see before this. I think it's already come out, but it's not one that I really needed to see before this, but I am curious about it because it's not the same guy who did The Green Knight and A Ghost Story, and I loved both of those. And, kind of looking a little bit more in the distance, we've got the Odyssey, obviously, which I will be honest. I saw the trailers. I'm kind of 50-50. I'm putting it in the bin of I'm going to go in with lower expectations and hope I'm wrong, because to me it just kind of, and I want to preface this with, it's not because of the woke shit about they casted other people who aren't white. I don't give a fuck about that. It's that it's all these A-list actors who it kind of just feels like they're playing dress up, right? It doesn't feel like random people who seem to fit these old characters and mythical heroes and gods. It just kind of feels like, hey, that's Anne Hathaway playing Party City. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It worked for Oppenheimer, although those were a lot more of B and C tier actors and people who are like, oh, it's that guy as well, So I don't know. We'll see. It also just doesn't really look that interesting to me. But I'm kind of hoping what the deal is that okay, not to preface this comparing the two, but if Lawrence of Arabia came out today, would it fit with the style of a modern trailer? I don't think so. So I'm hoping that this is the kind of movie that watching it and seeing a generic trailer formula about it are two very different things. So we'll see. We've got, Disclosure Day. The second trailer that came out about it kind of revealed a little bit more that I was kind of hoping it wouldn't, because it sort of seems like now some of the more abstract things about that first trailer seem to have a little bit more context. And I'm like, okay, fine. I kind of hope I wouldn't find that out. But, modern trailers and the modern internet, we have to know everything. So that kind of sucks. But Steven Spielberg doing sci-fi, I'm still very, very, very excited about that. Spider-Man Brand New Day, obviously very excited about that. You know how much of a Spider-Man fanatic I am. Not really much to say more on that. We just got to get it to come out. That's kind of... and then Flowervale Street. I'm sorry, not Flowervale Street. It's what it was called. Now it's the end of Oak Street. And it's... I don't know a super ton about it. I know that it's got Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway and Zendaya are having the biggest movie careers of this year ever. Early each in like 5 movies. But Anne Hathaway is doing this movie, I think, with... Oh, God, who's it with? I can't remember who it's with. But, I think it's Ewan McGregor. And it's basically, I think this town gets like transported back to like when there were dinosaurs. So it's like an 80s thing, but it's also a dinosaurs thing. It's a mystery. I don't know. We'll see. It seems very cool, though. Not a whole lot about it to know yet, though. A couple in here that I want to see more that I didn't get to see from earlier this year. We Bury the Dead. I heard that was pretty good. It's like a zombie one. I heard it was kind of slow, but it was pretty good. So I'm probably see that at some point. And then actually, I don't even have it in here. What is this? What is it? Oh, Wildwood. Yeah, we just got the trailer for that. Very excited about that. The Mummy. Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I heard it was okay. I heard it's like, it's not fantastic, but it's, a kind of a regular fun horror movie time. I'm not rushing to see it. I was kind of hoping it would be a little bit creepier, especially being a Mummy movie. We need to win in that area. But we've got The Mummy 4 coming out with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz at some point. So that kind of takes care of that. And then lastly, I mentioned Anne Hathaway and forgot I still haven't seen Devil Wears Prada 2. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I have a confession to make. I have not seen The Devil Wears Prada. I can hear you screaming through the screen. I know. I'm sorry. I have not seen it. I need to see it before I see the second one. And then I will have seen both. And I will tell you my thoughts on that later on. Any of those movies that I've just mentioned that have already come out, if and when I see them before this next type of video, I will talk about those as well because they will be on my list. All right. Well, came in under 2 hours talking about fucking 20 movies. It's ridiculous. If you guys made it to the end of this, or I saw any part of it, or if you just watch this, later on, just in the background of cleaning or something, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be able to talk about these because I haven't been able to do it outside of the out of theater reaction. So it's cool to be able to go back and see what's kind of stayed in, what I thought originally, what's kind of moved around. And yeah, I will be back on the next one to talk about the basically through August movies, I think. So a lot of big films. I'll probably have some little stuff here and there. I've got a couple. I've got like one react to The Boys that I want to put up there. One of my friends wanted me to record my reaction to a certain scene, so I'll put that up there. Maybe I'll go through some Letterboxd stuff. There's some things that I could do just that that to kind of fill in some space while I'm not really doing whole reviews. I might talk about my Letterboxd. I might go through my movies or my bookshelf, stuff like that. Just to have a little bit of behind the scenes, some fun with that. One thing I was going to do, I completely forgot, so I just mentioned The Boys, was talk about some of the TV shows that I've been watching. And maybe I'll do that in something else. Maybe I'll have a whole video just to talk about those, because I've seen The Boys. I've been kind of really hitting the ground running with some TV shows lately, because last year I finished the first season of Severance. I got to watch the second. I've been watching The Boys. I'm watching Will and Grace. I'm catching up on that. Ted Lasso started watching. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I finally finished She-Ra before it left Netflix. And I started this new one called Rooster. Lots of stuff going on, and I've just finished a bunch of those. Lots of thoughts on those. On the three that are very, very new, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, just very briefly. Night of the Seven Kingdoms is fantastic. I can't compare it to Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon because it's its own thing. It's only 6 episodes. But I'll say it's pretty flawless for what it is, and Game of Thrones wasn't flawless. So it's kind of crazy. I loved getting... this is what I wanted. I wanted something that doesn't connect to the bigger world, just a little anthology thing, a little side quest, very lovable characters and dynamics, gory, emotional. It gave you everything. I really loved it. I just love the the medieval fantasy Renaissance fair feel of these kind of shows. So give me more of that, please. And apparently we're going to have a second season, so that's awesome. Rooster, I just started watching it. I have not just randomly started watching a show nobody has talked about or that is very new out of nowhere in a long time. And I had Steve Carell, and he was talking about writing a book, and I was like, fine. I like Steve Carell, and I've written a book, so it is not what I expected, but I like it a lot. It's very interesting and weird in the fact that it's got this like fall Gilmore Girls vibe to it, which is really fun, very lighthearted. Something about this show that is very interesting is that it really, at least for a long time in the season, doesn't really have stakes, doesn't really have consequences. Characters do things and you think, oh, this is going to be a big deal, and then it's just not. But I don't hate it. It's like a comfort show, and they just handle things in ways that I'm like, in any other show, this wouldn't work. I would be like, why does no one care about this? Why is no one doing anything about this? I thought that was going to go somewhere, but like, whatever. I don't know. Like, it's fun. I will say most of the characters, at least the main characters, are really shitty people. And at first I was like, this is fine. It's like everybody's got their issues and we'll just deal with it, and everybody's wisecracking with each other and all. But by the end, there's 2 characters that are just so shitty back and forth to each other that it's almost unwatchable. It is just so toxic. And I feel bad for one, and then that one will do something shitty to the other one. And they're both just the worst people I've ever seen. But I like the show. I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm like, it's very tepid. Like, it doesn't blow me away, but I like watching it. I like the vibe of the show. So, and then this might be this will probably be a whole other video. Maybe I'll do this next year. I just finished The Boys, and it's kind of like Stranger Things 5. Like, yes, you got there. Yes, goals have been met. It's not insanely satisfying. It feels like what we should have gotten. It feels like half the cast and crew went home and they were like, you can just kind of finish it up yourself. And they just did. There's parts to it that in the moment again are like, whoa, yeah, awesome. Or, oh my God, I didn't expect that. There is actually a whole part after you think it's going to be over, that something else happens. I was like, I actually didn't expect that. But again, it just feels. I don't know. I feel I'm split on this. Like, I feel like nobody knows how to end a show anymore, and also I'm like, well, what if this was a good ending, and I'm just expecting too much? But I don't know. They hyped it up a lot, and they hyped up a big amount of stuff happening, and things just didn't. And I will be honest, I'm just not scared of Homelander. I really wanted to be by the end of this, but I was deathly scared of him in the first 2 to 3 seasons. By seasons 4 and 5, I love him for the memes, but I'm not scared of him. He's a fucking joke. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm satisfied in some aspects, but in how they got there, I'm like, ugh. I don't know. There are some things that made me cry, sort of. There are some things that were like, that is very emotional, that's very powerful, all that. But I feel like they kind of, I don't know. I think, I'll say this, The Boys Season 5 has way more balls than Stranger Things Season 5. And I would hope so. It's The Boys. I don't know. I just gotta sit and think about it forever. So, yeah. That comes up to about 2 hours. It talks about the shows a little bit. So, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed. Thank you guys if you were watching any parts of this, or if you're watching later on. And if you have any thoughts, write them down in the comments below, or shoot me a DM in my message, movie in the middle, Instagram, something like that. And just look out for some more random stuff that I'm going to do, more Instagram stuff, more random videos that I'll put up that I just can throw up there real quick. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching a million of me at a time. And I hope you guys have a great night.